Thanks, Ted. And thank you all for having me today. As you can see here with the Eastern Transportation Coalition, I'll tell you a little bit more about our organization in the next panel, but for the purposes of this one, I'm going to jump right into the work that we do and how a great deal of it already supports the National Roadway Digital Infrastructure effort. So each year, next slide, please. Each year, our executive board convenes to identify our priorities for the work that we're going to do in the year to come. Last year, our board set forth the 4 priorities you see here. Safety, which is reversing the curve on traffic fatalities, data for everyday decision-making, transformative technologies, things that have the potential to really move the needle on the safety and reliability of our transportation systems, and sustainable funding. How do we continue to fund our existing infrastructure, the growing demands for additional infrastructure, the investments in our people, and the technologies that we know can make a difference? These priorities are going to remain the same for the next year. As far as the progress that has been made, I have listed several examples of work that we have done and continue to do in advancing the goals of roadway digital infrastructure. Some examples under the CV-AV, looking at AV readiness. Under electric vehicles, providing NEVI funding specifications, looking at how we can fund transportation needs with a depleting gas tax, and how we effectively manage incidents that involve electric vehicles. Truck parking, how we are identifying and sharing that information. Mapping and navigation, how we're capitalizing on those third-party platforms that was mentioned previously. Data, our transportation data marketplace, which I'll talk about more in a minute. Data validation, ensuring the quality of the data that we use in our daily decision-making, and how to use data effectively through integration, analysis, and visualizations, such as our RIDIS tools. And then again, in workforce development, these are all topics that are discussed in information exchanges facilitated through the coalition in our Ops Academy and our Freight Academy. Next slide. To dive a little deeper into one example, the coalition's transportation data marketplace. This started in 2008 as the Vehicle Probe project with just one vendor and one data set, which is travel time and speed data. We now have multiple vendors and 6 core data sets that we're expanding on. Those are travel time and speed, volume, origin, destination, freight, waypoint, and conflation. We use economies of scale to give our members access to transportation data, establish strong agency-focused data use agreements, validate the data that our members are receiving and using through this, and then push innovation, turning that data into actionable information. Next slide. As far as what's on the horizon, again, I'll talk a little bit more about our organizational structure moment in the next set. But one of the things I'm really excited about is the movement of our CAV working group from our innovation group over into a more encompassing TISMO transformative technologies working group, where we'll look at a variety of technologies. Next slide. Again, we see the urgency and the need for enhanced safety. So we really want to take a look at those technologies and efforts that are immediately implementable or very near term, and still keeping our pulse on those technologies that are further out. So some examples of the work that is ongoing, again, the continued growth of our TDM and looking at those emerging data sets. This is a constantly evolving or rapidly evolving field. So keeping an eye on what's out there, what's to come, and being prepared for how we can integrate that into our transportation data marketplace is really important. Again, on data, getting, sharing, and using data effectively. Quality control of the data that we're getting in, but also the data that we're pushing out, making sure that those feeds that we're sharing with outside partners are accurate and reliable. Freight planning, how we use data in planning the movement of our freight. Connected vehicle, safe work zones, and responder safety. Things that we can do to shorten the TIM timeline, that is to enhance safety and improve the reliability of our roadways. Enhanced training. One of the things we recently completed was an effort with one of our consultant teams to develop a virtual TIM training that allows responders to be immersed into an incident scene and have the ability to really look around them and see how traffic moves around their crash site, where they're working, how they're channeling traffic, and where they have gaps and vulnerabilities and protecting themselves and the others involved in the incident. Detection and verification, what we can do to shorten the timeline that it's taking us to identify that crashes are happening, to verify what and where those are. And then interoperability, how we can work better together to move the timeline on that. Traveler information to enhance situational awareness for our motorists, workforce development, and then again, sustainable funding, how we're going to keep all of this going for the long haul. I think that's it for me, Ted.